the final regular season home series for Notre Dame, and tonight the Irish welcome the hottest team in college hockey as the 8th-ranked Minnesota Gophers have made the trip to South Bend for a 2-game series. And so we welcome you inside the Compton Family Ice Arena. Tony Simeone alongside Steve Conroy. So happy to have you with us for the final weekend of college hockey here on Peacock. Plenty to focus on. Let's start with Notre Dame, Steve. 3-game losing streak. They've only scored 4 total goals in their last 3. They need to find some more offense, and I think it can come from the defense players, and we're talking about Drew Bavaro.
Yeah, Drew Bavaro. I remember talking to head coach Jeff Jackson about his game, and he said he's got length to his game. He's 6'2", a little over 6'2", 205 pounds. But what he's really good at, Tony, is getting his shot through. And watch here, just a subtle little move. He freezes the defender, then moves it to the side. He's excellent at getting shots through, making sure they're not blocked. And yeah, he scored a lot of goals this year. In fact, he has 6. 4 of those 6 goals come at even strength, 2 on the power play. And here a game winner against Michigan State not too long ago. Yeah, so in order for the Fighting Irish to be successful, to score some more goals, defensemen definitely have to be a part of it.
So Drew Bavaro's the key for Notre Dame. When you look at Minnesota coming in, goodness, they might be the best team in college hockey right now. In their last 11, they're 9-1-1. They're getting production from all over the ice. Let's stay with defense, though, and talk about Sam Rinzel.
Yeah, you know, his offense might not jump out at you at first because he's only got 1 goal, but he's got 23 assists, and he's really good at finding the open net. Keep in mind, he's a freshman, and yeah, he's got length to his game, too, because he's 6'4", only 175 pounds. But the thing that Bob Motzko, his head coach, talked about was his skating ability. Watch here how after the turnover, he gets on the horse, really good skater, always finds the open man. Motzko also praised his ability and also his heart. Watch for number 5 tonight. He should have a big night.
Minnesota is rolling as they come into South Bend, and 4 regular season games remain for both the Irish and the Gophers. 3 Big Ten points are on the line when we come back. The penultimate conference series for both Notre Dame and Minnesota is upon us. Here's a look at the goaltenders first. Ryan Bischel, reigning Big Ten goaltender of the year from a season ago, 4th in save percentage in the country. You also see he leads the country in total saves. I don't think he's the story in net tonight. This guy is Justin Close. You see just a tick behind him in save percentage on the year, but Steve, Justin Close, last 5 games, save percentage at .980, 2 shutouts last week against Penn State, 179 consecutive minutes without giving up a goal.
Isn't that amazing? He reads the game so well. He's not a huge guy, he's only 5'10", but he's got the high hockey IQ.
This will be an interesting series this weekend. Notre Dame outside of the top 20, just on the outside looking in, as Drew Bavaro sends it down low for Brennan Ali. Minnesota right now maybe the best team in the country. 9-1-1 in their last 11 games. You see 8th in the country right now. They have to feel good heading towards the postseason. Feel like almost no matter what happens in conference tournament play, they're into the NCAA tournament. I was looking at the numbers. There is a very slim but still mathematical chance Notre Dame can make it as an at-large, but most likely they have to win the Big Ten tournament if they want to qualify.
Yeah, win that tournament, possibly win out, and that's against some pretty stiff competition here against Minnesota. And then watch this.
Oh my goodness, Landon Slaggert fed Cole Knuble on the doorstep, and Close is able to make his first stop less than a minute into the contest. Also noteworthy tonight, Steve, Notre Dame head coach Jeff Jackson. It's his 19th year in South Bend. He won a couple of championships with Lake State. 1,000th career game of his career being coached tonight. Really an unbelievable milestone for him.
What an accomplishment that is for any coach, let alone a college coach. And of course, 19 years here with the Fighting Irish, 6 years with Lake Superior State. And in those 6 years, yeah, 2 national championships. Also runner-up. They won it 92 and 94. In 93, they were runner-up for the national championship.
Yeah, twice he's taken Notre Dame to the championship game, to 4 Frozen Fours in 19 seasons. You're also watching a Minnesota team that's the national runner-up from a year ago. They lost in overtime to Quinnipiac. 10 seconds into overtime. As all Gopher fans know, Oliver Moore had an opportunity. Puck was poked free, and it's back out through center. Cole Knuble's able to chip it in deep.
I think Jeff Jackson's got to be happy with the first 2 shifts. The Danny Nelson shift went out there, spent most of their time in the Gopher zone, and then Cole Knuble's line comes out. They spent a lot of time down in the Gopher zone. In fact, Cole Knuble had an unbelievable chance on the doorstep, and now they got an offensive draw deep in Minnesota's zone.
Should also mention Notre Dame tonight, Steve. No Trevor Janicki. He's a fifth-year senior, Minnesota native, 6 goals in his career against the Gophers. Ruled out with an upper body injury sustained during the week. Not sure if he'll be back tomorrow. That's a big loss for Notre Dame.
I think it is. They don't have a lot of players like Trevor Janicki. He's tough, and he's solid, and he wins those battles along the boards and down in the other team's end and behind the net. They need guys like him.
Paul Fisher, freshman defenseman for the Irish, feeds a pass that's a little bit behind that time, rolls into the Gopher end where Mason Nevers can chip it off the wall, and it's out for Jackson Nelson. Here's the Gopher captain from a wide angle, firing one that Bischel is able to save. Comes out to the line where Mike Kester, senior defenseman, holds it in, has it once more, and drives it back around for Nevers. Sends it out for Luke Middlestat. He walks across the line, shoots, flex wide of the net. Middlestat's a guy still looking for his first goal this season. Had 5 last year, 3 of which came in the NCAA tournament run to the title game as this one goes out of play. Bob Motzko is the head coach of Minnesota, already now, hard to believe, in his 6th season with the Gophers after 13 at St. Cloud State. He's gotten them to back-to-back Frozen Four, Steve. They've been knocking on the door the last couple of years.
Yeah, and he's got the team playing in the right direction right now. You look at this team and, maybe playing their best hockey of the year. And keep in mind, they lost guys like Logan Cooley and Matthew Nyes, who are playing in the NHL. Brock Faber, who's giving a run for NHL Rookie of the Year with the Minnesota Wild. So took a lot of pieces out of his team that went to the Frozen Four last year, but it looks like they could be back there again this year.
Yeah, Jeff Jackson, Irish head coach, said that Bob Motzko has them playing Gopher hockey right now. Certainly have been, and as you said, lost a lot of players, but still 18 came back from that team that nearly won it all. And as you mentioned also, they've reloaded. Plenty of young talent has filled the voids left. As there's a giveaway. This is taken by Jimmy Clark, one of the freshmen. Fires a shot on Bischel that he fights off. Pressure still on in the offensive end. Shot doesn't get through. Clark's got it again, and once more, Bischel has to come across to make the save.
And Clark looking pretty good out there, getting to open spots, and it seems like the Gophers are trying to go high on Ryan Bischel early in this game. Clark with a high riser, and Paxson a little prior to that going high blocker on Ryan Bischel.
And that was the 4th line. Garrett Pinanini, Jimmy Clark, John Middlestat. Good shift from them as Aaron Huglin tried to pull and drag his way around Maddox Fleming. He takes it back. His team split a series all the way back in November out in Minnesota as Brennan Ali carries in for Notre Dame. A lot's transpired since mid-November. Gophers playing a much better brand of hockey now in mid-February.
My bad, it was Jackson Nelson with the high riser on Ryan Bischel a couple of minutes ago.
Shot deflects out, stops play.
We mentioned that 4th line, and Jimmy Clark centers it and head up the hallway. Looking possible pass, realized he couldn't get there, so he went high on Bischel. Maybe didn't have a lot of other options. That's the reason he went high. But Clark, a couple of years in the USHL, 7th round pick of the Minnesota Wild this past draft.
He's an Edina native as this puck is blocked in the neutral zone. Look out! It's Red Pitlick got his way in. Bischel with the first save, and he stops the rebound.
Wow, not many guys can pull away from Landon Slaggert. Red Pitlick does. The Irish win the draw. The set play is bring it back to Landon Slaggert. The one-timer he gets fanned on, but then Pitlick kind of pulls away. Not only gets that first shot, but the second shot. And that's what makes Ryan Bischel so good, so focused. He tracks that puck, he makes the initial stop, then he's quick to cover the second one. But Red Pitlick is having himself a year with the Gophers.
Pitlick comes in leading the Big Ten in goals and points, 14 goals in Big Ten play. And he's got 17 on the year, but in Big Ten play, he's just been outstanding. 23 points in conference play. It's a good number as Pitlick had his best chance early on here. Bischel makes a couple of key stops to keep this game scoreless. In the midst of this 11-game stretch for Minnesota, they have not trailed much, only for about a total of 35 minutes over the course of the last 11 games. As Seedham had a chance to feed it for Slaggert, and it's broken up.
Yeah, looking back on that, I like to see Seedham shoot.
And Oliver Moore was trying to find a trailing Jimmy Snuggerud. A broken twig ends up behind the play, and the captain, Landon Slaggert for Notre Dame, can send it in deep as the Irish make a change.
I know what Seaton was thinking, and he saw Slaggert might have been open, but you take the shot there. Landon Slaggert's in a great position for a rebound. So if the goalie stops it, maybe Slaggert gets to it, and you're still picking up the assist.
Hunter Strand's on his way in. Close makes the first stop. Was loose in the slot, and it's swept out of harm's way.
You see Close. You know, there's an economy of motion with him between the pipes, but he is very, not only athletic, but aggressive in his goaltending style. Not a big guy at 5'10", but he'll come out to challenge shooters. He did there.
He's now working on about a 185-minute shutout streak as Ryan Chesley fanned on his shot, recovers the puck and sends it down low. Also no Grant Silanoff for Notre Dame. So Janicki and Silanoff, a couple of Minnesota natives, not able to play against the Gophers tonight. Give the fourth line a chance to get on the ice for both teams. This is Pinanimi. Turns and shoots, puck deflects up high in the air. Pinanimi's back onto it, slides it all the way out. Here's Cal Thomas with a drive, and Bischel was able to see it the entire way.
Good save with no rebound from Ryan Bischel. Ryan Seaton, you see the head up, and he sees Slaggert, tries to make that pass. Great defense there by the Gopher defenseman. And a little later on, it was Hunter Strand. And this is a great play. Come down, put it off that far pad, hope for the rebound. The rebound was there. Unfortunately, no Notre Dame forwards in the vicinity.
It's the third year that Justin Close has been the primary goaltender. After Jack LaFontaine left to the NHL a couple years back, he took over the job. 925 save percentage 2 years ago, 927 last year, 926 this year. He's been, I think, a model of consistency for the Gophers now in 3 seasons.
Yeah, and that's what you want from your goaltender. You know, make the stop you're supposed to make. And they don't give up a lot of great chances, but when they do, they can really rely on number one between the pipes.
This puck comes out to center ice. Here's Brady Bjork, senior for Notre Dame. It's their senior weekend. Bjork into the lineup for just the 2nd time this year, 14th time in his career, but as a senior, getting a chance to play this weekend. And without the 5th-year Trevor Janicki, you might see some substantial ice time on that 4th line.
I hope so. And Jeff Jackson talked about it. He's just such a great kid off the ice. He brings a lot of culture to the Fighting Irish. Of course, his brother played for the Fighting Irish. His dad played for Notre Dame back in the late 70s, early 80s. I'm sure this weekend means a lot to the family.
Yeah, Anders Bjork, of course, the last guy to score 20 goals in a season for Notre Dame. Back in 2017, Landon Slaggert right now comes into this game with 17 on the year as this puck goes out of play. Thought it was a foregone conclusion earlier this year, Steve. We might see Landon Slaggert get to 20. Now with just 4 regular season games left, who knows?
Yeah, it's been funny because, you know, over the last, what is it, 4 games, they've only scored 4 goals. Maybe it's...
Yeah.
And then you take a look at the scoring leaders in the Big Ten, and Jimmy Snuggerud, we're going to see lots of him tonight with 18, and Landon Slaggert tied for 2nd, right in behind with Brindley and Duke.
Get a chance to see some great goal scoring producers on both sides of the ice. And as you mentioned, just 4 goals in the 3 games they've lost in a row now for Notre Dame. They were averaging 4.8 in the 4-game winning streak prior to that. As this puck is towards net. Wow, Close had to stop a quick shot in deep that time. It came from the stick of Jake Boltman, who was bearing down.
Heads up play there by Cole Knuble.
Now Pitlick's got it, looking for Snuggerud. Can't get a shot on net, and it rolls towards the corner. Good work by Patrick Moynihan to feed it to a streaking Cole Knuble as the freshman top-line centerman takes it in. He's run off the puck by Luke Middlestat, takes it right back for the Gophers.
Almost a huge hit there from Zach Luzinski, but he did separate man from puck. That was Pitlick coming up the left side.
Luzinski recovers the puck, drives it around where Tyler Carpenter elevated to the 3rd line with all the adjustments in the forward lineup for Notre Dame. Nevers into the offensive end on his backhand. Feeds one that Bischel's able to handle with ease. Now Chesley shoots intentionally wide. It's recovered by Hunter Strand.
Good play by Hunter Strand. Coming down deep to help out the defense. Sorting things out, not rushing a pass. Realized he had time. And now a nice play to get it out over his own blue line.
Yeah, here comes Strand into the offensive end. Shoots, it tips up and out of play. It's a good 20-second sequence from Hunter Strand.
Yeah, and that third line's been actually very effective. A couple of games ago in Wisconsin, they scored the first 2 goals of the game. Hunter Strand scored. Tyler Carpenter, you see, to the left side of the screen, also scored. Both of those guys had a goal and assist. And the third guy in that line, Justin Janicki, had a couple of helpers. There you see Hunter Strand's numbers on the air. So you're going to be successful. It can't just be your top 2 lines. You need your third and fourth line producing, and they certainly have the last little while.
I mentioned Strand now up to 16 points. That's a career high. He had 15 as a freshman, 15 last year as a sophomore, and maybe up to 16 here in his junior campaign with Notre Dame. Slager with the puck and speed through the offensive end, and the Irish are offside.
Little different look out here. Slager with Knuble and Brendan Ali. And we've seen that line in the past, but Moynihan did start the night on that line. Not too sure if he's still on the bench or not, but keep an eye out for Patrick Moynihan.
Fourth line out there for both teams. Driven in by Carl Fish, senior defenseman. Now here is Brady Bjork. Michael Mastrodomenico circles back for Notre Dame, approaching the midway point of the opening period. Shots right now in favor of Minnesota, 6-3. Chesley does well to hold that puck in. Clark will cycle it down low. Great feed out front for Fish, looking for a deflection. It gets through Bischel. It's loose in the paint. Oh, it's just sitting there. Another shot goes wide of the net from Middlestat.
Wow, that hit something in front. It might have been his own player. But what an original, great pass. Cross ice to the point. Middlestat with a shot that got through, and then all hell broke loose, but Gophers couldn't put it into the empty cage.
That was unbelievable. Puck was just sitting there for what seemed like an eternity. And I think Middlestat at the end got one whack at it after it had been cleared out of the paint, and it deflected wide. Score remains nothing on each end, as now Huglin's on his way in. Bischel sweeps it out. Here's Aaron Huglin. Talented forward, an impressive assist in the Frozen Four victory last year against BU. Set up Pitlick for one of those goals. Again, mentioned Middlestat, who has 5 goals in his career. 3 came in the tournament, 2 came in that semifinal against BU last year. As now Danny Nelson, second-round pick and talented freshman for Notre Dame, is on the move. Nelson feeds a pass for Ali. Close makes the save. Rebounds in the paint, and it's jammed in. Notre Dame has the opening goal.
We've seen some different faces on different lines. This time it's Carter Slager playing with Nelson and Ali. Now this puck might have made its way over the line by itself. I like this play by Nelson. Throws it to Ali, and then he follows it up. Ali got the redirection right here. Good stop by Close, but watch this shot by Nelson, and might as well just jam it in. Carter Slager does that, and he gives the Irish the all-important 1-0 lead.
Carter Slager scored his first career goal earlier this year against Minnesota.
His team.
And that's his 3rd of the season.
See Moynihan back out there, so might have been an equipment adjustment, maybe a message being sent, but Moynihan back on that line with Slager.
And now Notre Dame goes offside. 8 minutes and 20 seconds left in the opening period. And Notre Dame has something not a lot of teams have had against Minnesota over the last month and a half. They've got a first period lead. Notre Dame has a 1-0 lead. Minnesota almost had the first goal, Steve, a few minutes earlier. Puck was just sitting in the paint. And then I think John Middlestat maybe shoots it off his teammate in the crease.
That's exactly what happened. It went up and in the ME, and then down the other end, literally 20 seconds later, Nelson with a shot. Looked like it was maybe going over the line, but Carter Slager wanted to make sure it was across the line, so he jumps on it. And what a turn of events. And yeah, exactly. It's exactly what happened. That shot gets stopped by Pinaniemi, and Clark thought he'd had a goal, and his own player stopped it.
Certainly the turning sequence so far here in the opening period. Irish have the lead again in this 11-game stretch where Minnesota's 9-1-1. They have trailed for a combined 33 minutes and 40 seconds coming in. And one of those is a 28-minute deficit. So in 10 of the 11 games, they trailed for about 5 combined minutes. They've played from ahead. They've been dominant. They're coming off back-to-back shutouts. Justin Close has now seen his shutout streak come to an end and stop shy of 200 minutes. And for Notre Dame, that has to be a huge confidence boost. They knew it was going to be difficult to score this weekend against Minnesota, and they've at least seen the Gophers bleed here in the first period.
Well, even though they're getting outshot 8-5, Tony, they've had some really good looks. Those 5 shots, 4 of them, I think, good scoring chances. So, yeah, good for them, and good for the Irish to get that lead, because that's important. You're a Minnesota fan. You've got to score 2 to win this hockey game. So,
Irish are offside, so let's stop play here. This has also been a building in which Minnesota's played really well over the last few years. They've kind of beat up on Notre Dame over the past couple of years. This is what they've done, though, in the last 11. Look at that, only allowing a goal and a half. Mentioned the back-to-back shutouts as well. And again, Justin Close in his last 5 games, Steve, the save percentage was .980 coming in. So he's been stopping everything he's seen.
I talked to Bob Motzko about that, and he talked about the defense. Watch this.
Taken away, yeah. Bad turnover. Janicki was able to intercept, but the Gophers recover and bring it back out.
Yeah, but Motzko just talked about, guys you might not really hear of often. Carl Fish, he said, doing a great job on the back end. Mike Kester, mentioned Rinzel, Cal Thomas. He said all these guys, keep in mind, they just lost Jackson McComb. They lost Brock Faber. They lost some real steady minute munchers back there, but the youngsters have stepped in and done a real good job.
Fourth line. Again, Jaden Davis wreaking some havoc in the neutral zone for Notre Dame. As the Gophers get it in briefly, and right away, Ryan Seedham, the grad transfer from Harvard, is able to get it right out. Fourth line goes to work now as Bjork drops it off. Maddox Fleming has his shot deflect wide, and it's swept out to center ice. Seedham will gain the line and drive it around. Boltman handles the puck for a moment, gets it off to Nelson, who drives it in. Boltman also an Edina Minnesota native. Plenty of Minnesota natives on both rosters. In fact, Minnesota, every single skater on their roster, the only exceptions are goaltenders that do not reign from the state of Minnesota. As Close has to kick another one out that deflected off his pad.
Might have got redirected by Brennan Ali right in front. That was Master Domenico with the shot.
Rinzel took a spill, tried to clear it. It does get out to center. The Irish are able to recover quickly. Master Domenico feeds Ali, and he backhands it in deep, and the Irish will make a wholesale change behind the play.
Irish playing with a lot of confidence right now, playing on their toes. It's not like they're waiting for something to happen. They're backing off. They're making things happen right now.
Knuble finds Moynihan, moves his way in, shoots, and Close is able to make the save.
Tony, you mentioned the Irish hailing from the great state of Minnesota, and yeah, the Irish have a lot of them. Wow. I didn't know it was that many. What are we talking about? 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 guys. All from the land of 1,000 lakes.
Ryan Bischel graduated from Hopkins High School. How about this stat? 233 Minnesota State natives are playing college hockey this year, Steve.
Wow.
That's 100 more than the next closest state. As Brody Lamb's on his way in, backhand right into the gut of the Medina native, and Bischel is able to make the save against the Byron Minnesota native. Again, every single skater is a Minnesota native from Minnesota.
Yeah, well, it's the state of hockey, and they've got a great high school hockey program, well attended. In fact, they typically sell out St. Paul Center. Well, it used to be the St. Paul Center.
Yeah.
So A lot of pride in their hockey championships there.
I will actually do a little plug for our intermission. We're going to have a great feature about the Notre Dame players that played high school hockey in Minnesota. You saw there on the screen, Maple Grove is where the Janickies went. Jake Boltman was at Edina. I believe they won a state championship when he was there. So some really interesting conversations about their time playing high school hockey in Minnesota. That's coming up during the first intermission. As Landon Slaggert has the puck. He's a South Bend native, and his backhand is intercepted by Mike Kester. Now Pitlick across the line, shot from Snuggerud. Deflected towards the corner. Pitlick's after it to backhand it around. Knubel's able to feed it for Boltman. And it's sent right back into the Gopher end. Long stretch pass for Bryce Brodzinski. Gathers it in stride and then sends it down low for Nelson. It's taken away by Mastro Domenico. And now Tyler Carpenter can settle things in the Irish end. This is out of the reach of Janicki, and it's going to be an icing call that brings the puck 200 feet back the other way.
Yeah, but even with that icing play, Irish haven't spent a lot of time in their own zone. The breakouts have been really good. And what I like about them, they're not rushing things. They're getting their head up, and they're looking for an open man. If it's not there, it's just off the boards. That time, Tyler Carpenter was trying to find a streaking winger. I believe it was Hunter Strand, who was up at the red line. Just missed him with the redirection.
Renzel shoots off the faceoff. Didn't get through, ends up in the corner. Renzel's got it again. Carpenter blocked the shot, recovered by Brodzinski. He turns and shoots. And once again, Mastro Domenico has some time to operate in his own end. This pass hit Carpenter in the skates. Gives the Gophers a chance to settle it near their own bench. Janicki fires. Wow, close. Good stop. Nobody home looking for the rebound for Notre Dame, and the Gophers can bring it out the other way. Clark. Shot once again doesn't get through. That's 4 or 5 blocked shots in the last 2 minutes or so from Notre Dame.
Yeah, that was Paul Fisher. That's a great defensive play.
And Jaden Davis looking for Janicki. Deflected loose into a dangerous area. Now swept towards the corner where Zach Kluzinski, defenseman from Notre Dame, goes to work below the line. Fisher finds Fleming coming off the bench. His feed goes all the way through, and Kluzinski's right there. Now Fish after the puck. Does well to play it that time for Pinanimi. Here comes Clark, weaving his way through. His shot again deflects wide towards the corner.
That was Fisher again. Pinanimi just tried to use him as a screen, and Fisher has a big body, but he's got that long stick too, and he redirected the shot.
Irish change behind Fleming as the clock is under 2 minutes to go here in the opening period. Carter Slaggert has the only goal for Notre Dame. As Huglin carries it, somehow his backhand feed trickled through the paint briefly. Rolls into the corner where Seedham can gather it. Here is Carter Slaggert. Up ahead for Brennan Ali. Puts on the speed and his shot deflects up and out of play.
Nice little play through the neutral ice area. Ali, I thought he'd run out of room, and he kind of passed it to himself on the backhand. And then he chased it down. Unfortunately, that shot of his gets redirected. And Brennan Ali, beginning of the year, he was a 4th liner. At times, he's been on that #1 line. And yeah, you could say this Danny Nelson, Maddox Fleming line is kind of a 1B line for Jeff Jackson. Not great numbers, 3 goals on the year so far for Ali, but he brings so much more. He's an energy player.
There's some games where he looks like the fastest skater on the ice. It's up in the corner, and Moynihan is going to work right now as he has some help with Knubel. There's Cole Knubel. Feeds it, got through. Slaggert couldn't connect. Moynihan recovers. Seedham will shoot, looking for a deflection. Knubel was able to tip it towards net, but then it ricocheted all the way to the opposite corner.
Cole Knubel just playing with so much more confidence right now than he was over the first month of the season. Making plays in tight areas, that's tough to do, and he does it.
Puck's in a dangerous spot now as Snuggerud took a whack from in tight. Didn't connect cleanly, and Bischel is able to smother it and stop play.
Snuggerud, of course, had that fantastic World Junior Championship run for Team USA. They ended up winning the gold medal. And of course, the name might be familiar to hockey fans. His dad, Dave, longtime player in the NHL. I played against his dad, and I remember mostly with the Buffalo Sabres. He also played for the San Jose Sharks and Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah. Jimmy is third generation too. His mom's dad, James Westby, grandfather, played for the Gophers as well. Snuggerud, one of 4 Gophers on that Team USA team that won gold. Danny Nelson, of course, the Notre Dame representative that played with Team USA a couple months back in those World Junior Championships.
What an experience for those kids. I mean, not only on your resume, but just all of those guys come back and just play at another level.
10 seconds left in the period. Notre Dame seems content to hang on to the puck in their own end and take this 1-0 lead to the locker room. That's exactly what they'll do.
Well, if I'm Jeff Jackson, I'm real happy with that first period. Didn't spend a lot of time in their own zone. Played with confidence, played on their toes, and give them full credit. They deserve the 1-0 lead.
Minnesota outshoots the Irish 11-8, but Notre Dame's got the 1-0 lead. As we mentioned earlier, get a chance to hear from some of the Minnesota natives on the Irish roster and talk about their high school hockey experience, and then we'll break down the opening 20 minutes and take a look at the stat sheet. Notre Dame's got the 1-0 lead after 1 period of play here on the final home weekend of the season in South Bend. 1 period in the books here in South Bend between Notre Dame and Minnesota. Final weekend home series for Notre Dame before they wrap up the 2023-2024 regular season. Tony Simeone with Steve Conroy. Happy that you're with us this weekend. Great feature during the intermission to hear some of those guys talk about their high school time playing in the state of Minnesota. As far as this game tonight, Steve, I think that Notre Dame, you mentioned it going into the break, has to feel really good about that first 20 minutes leading against the team that's maybe been the best in college hockey since the turn of the calendar. Yeah, they stood up to them toe-to-toe, and in fact, you know, I like the way they play with confidence, and I keep mentioning it, playing on their toes, taking it to Minnesota. Yeah, Minnesota had a couple of chances themselves, but for the most part, I think Fighting Irish very happy with that first 20 minutes. All right, let's look at the highlights from period number 1. You're going to see the goal from Notre Dame, but chances really on both ends, especially the one you'll see in a couple moments where Minnesota shoots the puck off themselves. Yeah, but first, this is a clear-cut breakaway. Red Pitlick, one of the best scorers in Big Ten hockey. Great stop by Ryan Bischel. And here's the one that they stopped themselves. Pananimi with the shot, a wide-open cage, and his own teammate, Middlestat, was on the ice in the blue paint, stopped it. Here's the lone goal, and a great one it is for the Fighting Irish. Brendan Ellie starts it going to the net, Nelson with a shot, and then Carter Slaggert, the freshman, picks up the loose change. That gives them the 1-0 lead. You saw Slaggert, you've mentioned a couple times, looked like it was probably going in. He just made sure of it. They've still credited him with the goal. You look at the stat sheet, pretty even up and down. Gophers did outshoot the Irish. Let's talk Minnesota a little bit. What's the adjustment that they can maybe make in the locker room to come out for a strong set? Well, they've got to try and hem the Fighting Irish in their own zone. I thought the Irish did a great job breaking pucks out of the defensive zone. If Minnesota can spend some more time in there, get on the get pucks in behind and get pucks back, they'll have a little more success. I'll give you one more now looking at Notre Dame. Last weekend in game 1 against Wisconsin, they led 2-0 deep in the second and lost 3-2. I imagine some of that's in the back of their head. How can they hold on to this 1-0 lead and build on it? Funny you mention that, because I was thinking about it. Jeff Jackson talking about shooting themselves in the foot. What do you do? And they've taken a lot of penalties over the last couple of weekends. Stay out of the penalty box. Minnesota, I know their power play isn't great, but you don't want to give them any chances. You see right there, nobody has taken a penalty yet. Minnesota, in fact, takes the 3rd least penalties in the country. So far, so good. We'll see what they have in store in the second. Irish and Gophers re-emerging for the second period here in South Bend. Here's Jeff Jackson, the head coach for Notre Dame, coaching his 1,000th career game tonight. This is season 19 in South Bend. He's got 588 career wins, over 400 here with Notre Dame, Steve. It's got to feel somewhat surreal, I would imagine, tonight for him to be coaching in his 1,000th game.
Well, a dream come true for him. As a youngster, he can remember visiting Notre Dame campus, and little did he know that at some point he'd spend almost 20 years here as one of their coaches. So the one thing that's eluded him here, and he's been to the Frozen Four a number of times, is a national championship. And that, more than anything, would put a cap on his unbelievable career.
Got the 2 at Lake State in the 90s. I'm sure he can sympathize with Gopher fans last year, losing in overtime of the championship. Irish lost in 2018 to Minnesota Duluth. Made a final back about a decade earlier as the puck's on the ice for the second. Mastrodomenico's shot tips up high and wide, and Danny Nelson's after it there. Only goal came from Carter Slaggert in the first, as that shot from Mastrodomenico made it all the way through, and Close was able to kick it out.
Jeff Jackson still shoveling the lines. Justin Janicki, who started on the 3rd line, now playing on the 2nd line in Maddox Fleming's place.
Again, no Trevor Janicki tonight. His older brother, 5th-year senior, sustained an injury, midweek upper body injury. They hope to have him back tomorrow night. You figure he would obviously want to be out here for his final home game, and unfortunately can't go here in game 1.
Trevor Janicki so good along the boards, but that's something that's impressed me in this hockey game, Tony, is Notre Dame really winning their fair share of board battles.
Again, mentioned it during the intermission. Neither team took a penalty. Minnesota extremely disciplined, takes the 3rd fewest penalties in the country this year, less than 3 per game. You mentioned too last week against Wisconsin, some unforced errors, specifically with penalties, really hurt Notre Dame in the sweep at the hands of the Badgers.
I have a feeling that's why Henry Nelson, defenseman. Oh, look at that.
What a feed! Bolton finds Knuble, and the Irish lead 2-0.
Jake Bolton, who came into this game with just 1 assist on the year, looked like Bobby Orr on this play. Head up. Just great patience, waiting for things to open up. And a little surprised that this pass doesn't get maybe deflected by the goaltender Close, because it almost came through the blue paint. But regardless, Cole Knuble, right place, right time. Tough start for the freshman, but he has been red hot the last 4 or 5 weeks, and he gives the Irish the 2-0 lead.
Took him forever to get that first goal. It was an empty net goal right around the end of the 2023 portion of the season. Had a hat trick when the calendar turned, and now he's up to 8 on the year. And the Irish have the Gophers in a position they've really not been in much in 2024. 9-1-1 in their last 11. Been outstanding as of late. Back-to-back 3-0 sweeps of Penn State last week. Let's see what kind of comeback they have in them tonight. Here's Middlestat. This is Luke. Brother John's a forward. Luke works along the blue line, fires a shot, comes out for Strand. Long stretch opportunity is out of the reach of Janicki. Close was going to try to play it. It eluded him, but the Gophers are back, and well, taking the spill is Kester, and that allows Notre Dame to hop on the puck again. Brady Bjork finds Jaden Davis in the corner. And these 4th lines have been paired up. Some high frequency here. The first 20 minutes and change. Irish led 2-0 in game 1 against Wisconsin last week, and then it was 2 goals in a span of 15 seconds in the final minute of the 2nd period that tied the game. Badgers then scored in the first minute and a half of the 3rd. All in all, it was 3 goals in less than 2 minutes, and the Irish lost 4-2. Empty netter came at the end, but goodness, they had a 2-0 lead last week in game 1 and couldn't close the deal.
Yeah, and we mentioned it before, the Irish shooting themselves in the foot, whether it's a turnover in their own zone, an ill-timed penalty, and you don't always have to get scored on when you take a penalty. Sometimes it just gives the other team a little bit of momentum, and they carry that through the next few shifts.
Panini takes a hit from Mastrodomenico. Bavaro recovers. Irish back into the offensive end. This is Ali dropping it out for Nelson. Now Hughlin sends one ahead. Brody Lamb pulls his way through. Bischel makes the stop, and then Slaggert, backtracking on the play, can clear it towards the corner.
Slaggert has moved himself up in the lineup, started this game on the 4th line, and of course scored the goal in the 1st period. So He finds himself on the second line now. Nice save there by Ryan Bishop. Tougher save than it looked like.
Not a lot of games this year where Carter Slaggert could look at his older brother and say he was the more productive of the two, but right now that's been the case.
I should point out Kyle Davidson, general manager of the Chicago Blackhawks, in the house tonight.
Yeah.
I saw him briefly along with Norm McIver, assistant GM of Chicago. They've got 3 prospects here. Mentioned Landon Slaggert, a draft pick of the Chicago Blackhawks. Oliver Moore and Sam Rinzel, both of the Minnesota Golden Gophers, drafted by Chicago. So there's Landon Slaggert. And Jeff Jackson told us a couple of weeks ago he would not be surprised if after this year is over that Landon Slaggert gets some games in with the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah, he thought this spring, and you mentioned both Rinzel and Moore are first rounders of the Blackhawks in back-to-back years, 22 and 23. So all 3 of those guys could be playing together in short order.
We'll talk about Connor Bedard. Yes, he went first overall, but Moore went a little later in that same first round. Real strong draft for the Blackhawks.
Jake Boltman, Minnesota native, backhand. Wow, both defensemen down below as Sedum was on the doorstep. Now Boltman's got it back again.
Boltman did it from the right side last time. He almost did it from the left side on his backhand, no less. He's showing some confidence out there.
Sedum's got it again. Now Moynihan backhands it towards net. Didn't get through, and it can be recovered by Connor Kurth.
I should point out Brock Shahan, former Fighting Irish player, now a coach, an assistant coach with the Fighting Irish. I think he's given his defensemen the green light to be offensive, and that's exactly what we've seen from Boltman the last couple of shifts. In fact, all these defensemen, you mentioned Ryan Sedum parked in front of the net for a good 10-15 seconds.
Yeah, with a lot of frequency, there's a defenseman hovering around that goal line, it seems, as Moore sends one towards net. The Shays around, and Sedum can recover it. There's Tyler Carpenter being harassed by Rhett Pitlick, able to get it in deep as the Irish look to set up the forecheck. Janicki getting worked on in the corner. Puck comes around towards Pluzinski. He does well to hold it in. Now it does come out towards the line. Not out, and Strand sends it right back. Oh, Kester takes a big hit from Janicki, and the first penalty is coming up. Delayed penalty as Close goes to the bench. Bischel, rare you see that, but he comes out to touch it up. And that'll stop play, and Janicki already has taken his seat in the penalty area.
Justin Janicki. Cross-checking's the call. It was a good third-line shift, too. They played most of it in Minnesota's zone. But when you lead with your stick and your hands are totally extended, yeah, right across the numbers, chances are you'll get a call. You know, Kester made sure that he went down in a hurry. He did, and it's Minnesota's power play.
Gophers have had a good power play on the season overall, 24%. Talked to head coach Bob Motzko, though. He wants to see a little bit more from it here. Hasn't been crazy about it as of late. Here's their first chance. One-timer coming from Snuggerud, and Bischel was able to slide across in time. Now another drive. Bischel fights it off. Master Domenico clears. Here come the Irish shorthanded. Knuble with Slaggert. Landon Slaggert shot it over the crossbar.
You know, Close might have got a piece of that with his stick. It just happened so quickly, and down the other end. Bischel with a big stop on Snuggerud, and that hurt him.
Okay, catch your breath. Exciting first 35 seconds of the first power play of the game. Snuggerud with that huge one-timer. Bischel with his best save of the night. And now Pitlick a little out of sync as he tried to carry it in. They'll reload. Snuggerud, his backhanded feed, intercepted and cleared by Pluzinski.
Great defensive play by Zach Pluzinski. You know, that backhand pass, sometimes you're not expecting that. He got his stick in the passing lane, and then more importantly, got it 200 feet down the ice.
Kester couldn't enter cleanly. This Irish penalty kill has been good most of the year. Over 80%, right at 83 coming in. They've looked sharp here in the first minute and 20.
Well, Tony, they're really protecting their blue line. 3 guys stacked on the blue line, making it really tough for the Gophers to make.
Now Moore gets the step into the offensive end, and his feet is intercepted by Slaggert. He won't take any chances, and he'll send it 200 feet. "15 seconds left to go to work for the Gophers here. Kester sends it across for Bryce Brodzinski. Now it's Moore. Back for Brodzinski. Out for Kester. Penalties expired. Janicki sprints out of the box. And they're back to 5-on-5. Moore from a wide angle. Doesn't get the shot through. Janicki's got the puck with fresh legs. Here's Justin Janicki on his way in. Takes it towards the corner. Drops it off. Nelson drives it and scores! Cole Knuble tipped it in front, and it's 3-0 Notre Dame.
Great play all around, but watch the edge work from Justin Janicki, who had just come out of the penalty box. Watch the cutback right here. He throws Snow, gets it back to Nelson, the half slapper, and yes, Cole Knuble, the redirection in front, his second goal this period, and he gives the Irish the 3-0 lead.
What a great look at that deflection from that angle. Guys were all over it. You saw the deflection from Knuble. He's got his second of the night and the period. This is one thing I did not see coming, Steve. There were a lot of things I thought could happen tonight. Notre Dame up 3-0 less than halfway through the contest was low on that list.
Well, you know what? This team is capable of big things. You know, they beat BC earlier this year. They've beaten Michigan. They beat Michigan State. It's just putting together the 60 minutes, and that's been the magic potion that they haven't been able to find. And they're going to try and do that here tonight.
They've played an extremely difficult schedule. Smasher Domenico shoots wide. You mentioned they played BU, BC, Wisconsin, and Michigan State. That's 4 of the top 5 teams in the country. They played 11 games against those teams, and they're 2-9 against them this year. And if they just flip a couple of those results, they're in business as Bavaro finds Bjork down below the line. Now we'll see what kind of response Minnesota has. Coming off of a dominant weekend against Penn State. They've had their way over the last 11 games. There's still plenty of time for the Gophers to make a push, but so far it's been all Irish. Davis shoots. Deflects wide. Puck comes around. Boltman lays a hit that doesn't allow the puck to get out. It's held in. Here's Bjork. His shot didn't go wide by much. Now Fleming absorbs a shot in the corner. Bjork's back onto it. Well, that's a wide angle shot that Close has to hold on to and take the face off.
I think Maddox Fleming was trying to bank that in off the netminder. Not very often he allows 3 goals in half of a game. And we're about halfway through this one, and there's that redirection. Good job by Cole Knuble. Tony, you picked it up. Getting his right leg out of the way. You know, you don't want to deflect it right into yourself. He deflected it, lifted that leg up. Played the flamingo. And his 9th of the year. All smiles for Cole Knuble. His dad, Mike Knuble, normally comes to the game, drives down from Grand Rapids. I haven't seen him here tonight, but I'm sure he's a proud papa watching somewhere.
There's a lot of friends and family in town this weekend. Of course, senior nights tomorrow. It's a big weekend on Notre Dame's campus. Junior Parents Weekend, an influx of family on campus. I mean, if I was in town for this weekend, this is where I'd be. You get Notre Dame, Minnesota. So far, if you're an Irish fan, it's lived up to the hype.
Well, another sold-out game here at Compton Family Ice Arena. And they're getting their money's worth.
It'll be 14 sellouts when the season's all said and done, as Bavaro had it come out and then carried it back in. So that stops play. Irish led by 1 after 1, and Cole Knuble has tacked on 2 of his own here in the second. 3-0 Notre Dame at the midway point. Halfway through the contest, and Notre Dame's already hit their magic number. 3-0 on top of Minnesota right now. When they get to 3 goals, Steve, they're pretty dominant. Look at this number, 14-1-1. You see when they don't get there, wow, they haven't scored all year when they've not managed to get to 3 goals. That's actually somewhat surprising for a Notre Dame team that has certainly won their share of 2-1 games over the years. But it tells you how important that 3rd goal is for Notre Dame.
Typically, the first team to 3 wins the hockey game, and this game far from being over. We know the firepower that Minnesota has.
Good block by Kester, one of the Gopher captains, prevented Knuble from the hat trick. He's already got 1 hat trick this year as a freshman. This puck goes down below the line. Middlestat battling with Landon Slaggert. Here's Pluzinski, winds it up, close the save, rebound Slaggert, and he scores! 4-0, Irish in front.
You see Close looking over to the bench, seeing whether or not Bob Motzko wants to make a change between the pipes. Great shot by Pluzinski. That's a heavy shot, big rebound coming off of Justin Close. It goes right to Landon Slaggert. He's got the open cage, and he makes absolutely no mistake on it. Landon Slaggert, his 18th goal of this hockey season.
Slaggert's got 18. For Minnesota, this is the first time they've given up more than 3 goals in this 11-game stretch. So you have to go back to their loss against Colorado College, and they have made a goaltending change. Nathan Airy has come in, the freshman, as Close goes to the bench. Hard to imagine considering how dominant Justin Close had been over the last 5 games.
Tony, remember you mentioned all the guys on this team hail from Minnesota except one? Well, here he is. Airy from Cochrane, Alberta. Big goalie at 6'3", 175 pounds. But, you know, and I'm not blaming it on Justin Close. A lot of times, coaches will do this, a wake-up call to the rest of the team. It's a shot across the bow. And there's a good look at Nathan Airy. You know, it's a tough situation to come in. You're cold. I mean, obviously he was in the warm-up, but that was a little over an hour ago. He comes in, he doesn't get any kind of a warm-up, and the first thing he wants to do is feel the puck.
Saw his numbers briefly there. He's made 1 start this year, came against Robert Morris. That was back on January 12th. So it's in the midst of this 11-game stretch, but again, hasn't played in over a month. Certainly you wouldn't expect him to with how good Close has been. See if the Gophers respond in front of him as he has to play the puck behind his net. .4-0 Notre Dame. 3 goals already here in the 2nd period. And the majority of this 2nd period has been played on this side of the rink. Minnesota had that power play, maybe 1 big shot from Snuggerud. Otherwise, the Irish have limited their high-quality chances.
Tony, Bob Motzko talked about this week and how important it is to keep the pedal to the metal. They've got a bye week next weekend. He said they really need it. They're a little banged up right now. They're a little mentally fatigued. I'm certainly not making excuses for them, but right now, kind of a tough struggle.
Airy does see a puck deflected towards him and does enough to make the save.
Yeah, that wasn't an easy first save for him.
And Justin Close had given up 3 goals in his last 5 games. Gave up 4 in a period and a half tonight. Thomas shoots. Bischel able to make that stop. Been heading wide. Either way, ends up in the corner where John Middlestat can go to work. This feed's intercepted by Brady Bjork.
I like how the forwards are coming down to help the defenseman. That time it was Brady Bjork. I've seen Hunter Strand, the centerman, do that a number of times. Makes, and I can tell you as a defenseman, makes your job so much easier when you have that close support.
Fleming gets it in deep with 6.5 minutes to go in the 2nd period. Steve, as you mentioned, Minnesota off next week. Notre Dame has Michigan on the road next week, and then they're off the final week of Big Ten play. So these are 2 of the teams that have just 4 games remaining, despite there being 3 weeks left in the Big Ten regular season. That's why Notre Dame will celebrate the seniors tomorrow, about as early as you can celebrate them. As Carter Slaggert has the puck for the Irish. Scored the opening goal. Collecting the rebound from this guy, Danny Nelson. Oh, Nelson somehow strong arms his way through, and Airy makes another save.
That was on Luke Middlestad, who's a pretty savvy defenseman on the back end. Danny Nelson, just one hand on his stick, just strong-armed him. Got that puck to the net.
To your point, Steve, we saw Notre Dame beat Boston University earlier this series. Nevers is on the move. Drops it off for Nelson. Back for Nevers. One-timer, and Bischel is able to get across and provide the answer.
Danny Nelson, the freshman, having himself a game tonight. And you see it here, one hand on his stick. He fights off a couple of checks and gets the shot on net. I don't think Airy thought he'd stopped it cleanly. Kind of checked in behind him really quickly and then realized the puck had come out front. So great individual effort there from Danny Nelson.
You mentioned World Juniors. Minnesota had those 4 guys, how they benefited from it. Nelson, we've seen him obviously a few weekends now since he got back from those championships, and he's looked like a different player, hasn't he?
Yeah, and it's funny, Jeff Jackson talked about that because his role for the World Championships was more a 4th line role, kind of a role player, and he said here he's counted on not only to be one of the top center, but to be on the power play, to kill penalties. And he says he's seen a huge amount of growth in Danny Nelson's game.
Leads the team in shots on goal, 81 shots. Just a touch shy of 3 per game. As Hunter Strand has the puck for Notre Dame. Finds Carpenter. He's looking to get it back to Strand. It's broken up and cleared out to center ice. Justin Janicki, Maple Grove native, carries the puck into the offensive end. Pananini able to get it out for Middlestat. 4th line for the Gophers. Takes it into the offensive end. Bischel able to sweep the puck out. Irish can bring it out the other way. Domenico a little loose with the puck, able to find Sedum. As Fish gathers it for the Gophers. This puck's out of the reach of Slager. They say no icing, as he made contact with it towards the bench, so play continues. Bradzinski trying to jump it for Chesley. It's taken back by Slager. Moynihan finds Fisher, and Airy's able to make the save.
It's the 3rd time now Airy's made a stop, but then looked in behind him. And it's a tough situation to come into, but a lot of these shots are either screened or maybe even redirected at the last second. You know, we mentioned Kyle Davidson a couple of times, the fine young general manager of the Chicago Blackhawks. That's him on the left. To the right, a guy I used to play with, Tony, Norm McIver, an assistant general manager with the Blackhawks. And boy, what a year they had. They drafted Connor Bedard. He's back in the lineup. Last night played against the Pittsburgh Penguins. And believe it or not, as of yesterday, they were in last place overall. They could have dibs on Macklin Celebrini.
That's what I was going to ask is, the rebuild seems to be going well, at least as far as stockpiling the talent. You mentioned the 2 first-rounders Minnesota has on the ice. Right. Slaggert, of course, someone that certainly could find himself at that level shortly. But we saw Celebrini earlier this year. He looked phenomenal, specifically in the 2nd game against Notre Dame. Likely going to go #1 overall. I think about that plus Bedard, suddenly you've got a team that a couple years down the road projects out pretty nicely.
Yeah, and it can't ever be one guy. And we'll watch this 2-on-1 first.
Uh-oh, Pluzinski spills a chance for the Gophers to get on the board, and they do just that. Aaron Huglin grabs a tally, and the Gophers get one back late in the 2nd.
Well, tough time to blow a tire, and that's what happened to Zach Pluzinski, who's had a real strong game for the Fighting Irish, but it turns into a 2-on-1. He's in good position, but on the crossover, goes down. Oh, that's a great pass, too. Tal Thomas to Aaron Huglin. And Huglin almost stopped by Ryan Bischel. But Huglin gets his 9th of the year and maybe gives the Gophers a little bit of life towards the end of the second period.
This is an interesting 3 minutes. Just specifically because of what happened last weekend, Steve. For Notre Dame, I have to imagine it's at least somewhere in the back of their mind. And if the Gophers could just get this to, I think, a 2-goal game before the second intermission, give them obviously a big pep in their step going into the locker room, but then certainly give the Irish a lot to consider during the second break.
Well, let's see if the Irish have learned anything. And I think the thing you learn is you got to keep playing confidently. You can't back off. You can't go into a shell. And sometimes it's easier said than done, but you've still got the lead. You're still in control. You know, play like you're in control.
Yeah. Bischel stops this puck behind his net. There's more hunting for the puck in the defensive end for the Gophers. Gets his stick on it right there. Poked it free, and Brodzinski can recover it. Middlestat connects with Brodzinski through center. Here comes Brodzinski, pulls, forehand shot, and Bischel is able to make the save.
That's a big save. Ryan Bischel absolutely stones Brodzinski, who's having himself a pretty good year. You see him beat the defenseman to the outside and then quickly gets that shot. I think he was trying to go 5-hole here. And actually, he's trying to go up over the arm of Ryan Bischel, but he makes the stop and then quick to cover.
This is his 177th career game tonight. He's going to set the record all time for Minnesota, most likely. Obviously, you assume they're going to play 6 or 7 more games this year. The record's 182. Larry Olin from 1988 to 92. Brodzinski, of course, has the benefit of this 5th year to get there, but he's been a name you fill out the roster card over the last 5 years. He's always in it for Minnesota. Slaggart's on his way. Jams on the brakes, drops it off. Mastrodomenico misses. Moynihan's rebound. Didn't get on net, and the Gophers are out of harm's way.
Yeah, dodged a bullet, and again, the defenseman getting involved. This time it was Mastrodomenico jumping up on the play, and didn't miss by much.
Clock approaching the final minute of the second period. Cal Thomas back for it in his own end. Brody Lamb's able to get it to the neutral zone, and the Irish will settle it on their third of the ice. Rinzel ships it ahead, intercepted by Nelson. Here comes Danny Nelson with Ali, shoots and scores! Danny Nelson gives the Irish their 5th goal of the night.
Like the decision here from the freshman Nelson. I don't think he can make that pass to Ali, so he takes it to the hoop himself. The turnover, good back pressure there from Carter Schlager, but watch the head up by Nelson. Takes that shot, beats Airy just under the glove. That perfect spot, over the pad, under the glove, and he restores the 4-goal lead, 5-1 Fighting Irish.
Feels like an important one for Notre Dame. If the Gophers could have gotten into a 2-goal game, would have added some intrigue. As you said, they restore the 4-goal lead in the final minute of the second period. Seedham's back for it, trying to kill off the final 5 seconds of period 2. Kluzinski will do enough. Takes a spill, but it ends the second period nonetheless. Irish are going to carry a 4-goal lead into the locker room.
Yeah, I like the confidence they're playing with, even though they did give up a goal in that period. You think might be on their heels. They took it right back to Minnesota, and they've got a 4-goal lead.
Notre Dame 5-1 after 2. During the break, get a chance to see how Cal Burke, former Irish captain, made his way to the professional ranks, and we'll talk to Jake Boltman about how the Irish have jumped out to this commanding 4-goal advantage. It was 1-0 after 1. The Irish add 4 goals in the second. Danny Nelson has them in front by 4. Mission here in South Bend, joined now by senior defenseman Jake Boltman. Jake, gotta love what the score reads right now for you guys. What's been the biggest key for you so far in the first 2 periods?
Yeah, I know. I feel like we've been playing really well. We're putting pucks behind their defensemen and just gotta going to work. And we're getting a lot of scoring chances, which is great, and we're burying a few of them too, so it's been good.
Jake, I like the offense, and I liked on that play that you set up Knuble, Cole. Your head was up. Just walk us through that play. What did you see?
Yeah, no, Moynihan had a good little drop play to me. Felt like I had time to kind of take some ice, and saw Noobs there back door, so thought I'd just rip it over there, and he buried it, so, yep. Jake,
last one I have for you is just on a weekend like this. It's, of course, senior night tomorrow. Important weekend. You guys get a chance to play Minnesota. I know you're in a Dyna guy. Just what are the emotions going through the mind here on this final weekend at home?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy how fast it goes. It's been unbelievable experience here at Notre Dame, and just love playing in front of these fans. And yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy how fast it goes. It's been unbelievable experience here at Notre Dame, and just love playing in front of these fans, and hopefully we can get the win tonight. All right, Jake, thanks a lot for the time. Yeah. Good luck in the third. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
There is the Edina native and Irish defenseman Jake Boltman taking some time during the second intermission. Irish in front, 5-1 after 2 periods. Almost time for the third period here in South Bend. If you missed the second, you missed a lot. Notre Dame extended their lead to 5-1, Steve.
Yeah, minute and a half in, that was Knuble. Then Knuble again, the redirection from Danny Nelson, and then the wide open cage for Landon Slaggert. Minnesota did respond. Hughlin made it 4-1, but then Danny Nelson, that's an NHL shot right there. Over the pad, under the glove, restores the 4-goal lead. 5-1 after 40 minutes of play for the Fighting Irish.
Important note here, you see the numbers. I don't know if you saw this at the end of the period. I didn't see an arm go up, but Pluzinski took that spill, Steve, if you recall. Yeah. They've issued a tripping penalty against Minnesota. So I didn't see any arms go up. There was no announcement, but they start the second period, does Notre Dame, on their first power play of the night. They did all their damage so far in 5-on-5 skating, and now they get a chance to tack on one more here if they want on their first 5-on-4 opportunity of the night. It's again the Minnesota team that takes the 3rd least penalties in the country. Good at staying out of the box all year. You see the numbers, they'll kill right around the middle of NCAA hockey. Irish power play in the bottom 3rd. We'll see what happens here in the final 20 minutes, Steve, but I'm already thinking about what we're going to see tomorrow and what kind of response from Minnesota. And of course, you have to consider that all too going against a Notre Dame team that's going to be pretty hopped up for senior night, the final home game of the year tomorrow.
But as any college coach will tell you, so hard to win the second game, Friday-Saturday series, especially when you win the first game. Obviously, the other team's upset. They're going to come back with a burr under their saddle, as I'm sure Minnesota will. Power play has not looked really good for the Fighting Irish thus far. Haven't been able to get set up. Let's see what they can do here.
Minnesota's also been really good at Notre Dame over the last few years. They were 7-2-2 in their last 11 in this building as Bavaro winds up a one-timer. Rebound almost came out for Slaggert on the doorstep. He recovers and reloads for Bavaro. Moynihan's shot hit a skate, ricochets through. He's after the puck, and it's cleared out to center ice.
Bavaro with that shot got redirected right at the last second, but he's so good at getting shots through it. That's been the biggest difference in his game this year, is finding those seams to make sure he gets them on net. And part of the reason he's got 6 goals this year.
Bavaro is preseason Big Ten second team coming in. He's had a really nice year. You talked about him in the open. Big game-winning goal against Michigan State. That offensive-minded defense has really been, I think, a theme for Notre Dame all year. He kind of leads the way in that regard.
Yeah, he really does. You know, he's the power play quarterback, the guy they rely on to set things up, and he does that very well. But he's got the big shot, and I think that's maybe underrated in his repertoire, is the shot and the way he gets it through.
It's Justin Janicki again. If you weren't with us in the first or second, Justin Close, maybe one of the best, if not the best goaltender in the country, taken out of the game in the second period after 4 goals scored by Notre Dame. Nathan Arias come in relief. Close had a more than 180-minute shutout streak going before the Irish got to him late in the first. He managed to run him out of the game. Figure we'll see him, though, tomorrow night in game 2. Here's Snuggerud with some space. Bischel able to blocker it off. Ryan Bischel, he's a Medina native. He's played Minnesota. This is now his 11th game against them. His numbers weren't great coming in. Just 3-6-1, a .910 save percentage, which isn't a terrible number, but his average on the year is .927, so it's below his usual number. Yeah. Hasn't had a ton of success against Minnesota. I'm sure he likes to see this in his final weekend against the Gophers, at least in the regular season, putting together a good performance tonight.
He's going to have a lot of families and friends, watching back at home, and of course it means a lot. He grew up in the state of Minnesota, and I'm sure he watched the Gophers a lot as a youngster. And I'm sure the fact that he was up against Justin Close, who probably gets a little more attention than Ryan Bischel does. Very similar numbers, but because of the record, Ryan Bischel, I think, sometimes gets overlooked, although both of these guys, Dave Richter, Mike Richter. Dave Richter did play in the NHL, but he wasn't a goalie. Mike Richter, award finalist, 10 finalists for that award amongst goaltenders. 4 of them are in the Big Ten.
I was going to say, you stole my point. Excellent job. Yeah, Trey Augustine, and then, of course, Kyle McClellan with Wisconsin. That just tells you how good the Big Ten has been this year. Obviously, the goaltenders have to be very talented as that puck goes off the skate of Ali. But it tells you the play in front of them has been pretty darn good as well.
Yeah, exactly. And another play by Danny Nelson there as he having a game, a goal and 2 assists, and he is feeling it right now.
Maple Grove, Minnesota native, second-round pick of the Islanders. Freshman for the Irish as Brody Lamb has his pocket picked by Nelson, but the arm is up for a penalty.
I think Nelson's going to get it. Maybe a hook. No, they're calling a slash. And he did end up getting this puck back, but maybe it was because of the slash, forced a bit of a turnover. And Danny Nelson's good size, and he's got that long stick, the long reach. And he's a good defender. Let's listen to the call.
Penalty, number 11, slashing.
Slashing's the call on Nelson. I mentioned this in a previous broadcast. Danny Nelson was a defenseman up until the age of 11 or 12. That wasn't much of a slash, but it was up around the hands. And the referee was closer to it than I was. You see his arm up, and that's why he's in the box.
So it's the second Gopher power play of the night. Again, they came in at 24% on the year. So they set things up here. At least make things interesting with a power play goal here. They got one back when it was 4-0 in the second. Aaron Huglin has the only Gopher goal tonight. But then Nelson, who's sitting right now for the penalty, scored a really important goal for the Irish in the final minute. Giving that 4.4 goal cushion, rather, going into the second. It's Jimmy Snuggerud. Snuggerud tonight a -3. Renzel. There's the puck, looking for Lamb. It's deflected by Justin Janicki, and he takes a spill off for Pitlick. Snuggerud winds up a one-timer, and he missed the frame.
That was a shot, though. That just jumped off his stick.
You can shoot it with the best of them. Pitlick, good feed down low. Middlestat whacks at it. Bischel keeps it out. Pitlick then feeds it all the way out to the line for Kester. Still 45 seconds to go on the power play for the Gophers. Middlestat works his way in. Down for Snuggerud. Feeds it through the crease. Brody Lamb is able to recover it. Back for Pitlick. Across it goes. Intercepted. Michael Mastrodomenico able to take it away and clear the puck.
Real good read by Mastrodomenico. Just took away that passing lane. Now, it's too bad, too, because the Irish, it was a great kill. They could have got it down the ice, but Justin Janicki somehow got handcuffed. And the next 20 seconds spent in their own zone.
Here's Kester. Still with 10 seconds left. Brodzinski holds the puck. Down for Huglin, behind the goal. Backhanded feed in front, taken away. Penalties expiring. Nelson can hop out of the box as Slaggert's on the move. Landon Slaggert, his shot didn't get through, and it's Seedham tracking it down before it's taken away and cleared by Brodzinski. Nelson, it's got a full tank of gas. He takes the puck back and finds Boltman. Gives it right back to Nelson. Back for Boltman, drives a one-timer. Good work by Airy to see it through some traffic and make the glove stop.
Jake Boltman is having a great game offensively. Really nice talking to him between periods. I liked some of the hockey lingo he was using. And he talked about that goal. We saw a couple of guys out front. It was an important goal, too. Minute 30 seconds in to start the second period. And if you hear a cheer in the background, it's because they just showed the Fighting Irish football head coach, Marcus Freeman, who's been in a few hockey games this year, Tony.
He's been in the booth a couple times over his career. As you said, he's been up in that box he's in tonight. If there's an easy way to get a cheer around here, it's to put the head coach on the video board, whether you're at a hockey game, a basketball game. He attends a lot of games, goes to a lot of women's basketball games. See what 2024 has in store for Irish football as Jaden Davis is on the move. He's got Brady Bjork with him in the feed. Chips up out of play.
I think Davis is a little upset with himself. Maybe could have fed that puck a little earlier. Waited for things to open up, and then things kind of closed down on him, and that attempted shot gets deflected. How is the football team looking next year? Tony, you do, amongst a host of other things besides your play-by-play in hockey, you do basketball and pre- and post-game for the football. There's Marcus Freeman with one of his 5 kids.
Yeah, great stat. He's got the most wins in the history of Notre Dame football in their first 2 seasons. Tied for the most. Now, they play more games now. So I don't want all the people that were watching games back in the 1920s to get on our case here. But nobody's won more games than him in the first 2 years. And I think they're going to be good this year. Year 3 is usually, for Notre Dame football, that's when they do a lot of damage. In 2012, 3rd year of Brian Kelly, went to the national championship game. A host of other coaches had a lot of success in year 3.
And is that because they're your recruits?
You've got a chance to get your guys in place. Lou Holton, 88, won it in year 3. Yeah, I think that's part of it. I mean, any head coaching job in football, any sport really, you know, takes a while to get your culture installed. You can even look at it with the Gophers, right? Bob Motzko is in his 6th year. Once he got his feet under him, they've had a lot of success here with Minnesota. So I think football, they're very optimistic about what the outlook looks like. 12-team playoff, I think, helps them.
Yes.
And then, of course, the schedule just shakes out. You never know how it's going to go, but it looks much easier than it did at the start of last year. As Bischel's able to fight off a shot from Snuggerud. Notre Dame tonight, Steve, I think, has done a good job of at least neutralizing this second line of the Gophers. Moore, Pitlick, and Snuggerud, probably their best line. They list him as the second. They've got a ton of firepower. At least tonight, it's been bottled up.
Well, what I've noticed is they've done a real good job protecting their blue line. The Fighting Irish have. They've been forcing the issue with the blue line. Not so much here, but there's that shot by Snuggerud. And yeah, not a clean save by Ryan Bischel, but it's not in the back of the net. In fact, it ends up in behind the net. And that Snuggerud, that puck, when you watch him and he's got time, it absolutely explodes off his stick. And we saw that at the World Junior Championships, where he led Team USA in point scoring, and we've seen it here on a number of occasions tonight. Not that he scored any goals, but just the potential.
He's 10th in the country in goals with 18. Leads the team. He's been really good on the road this year. He's got 13 points in 13 road games. Hasn't really been his night tonight, but you've seen even the shots that haven't hit the back of the net, they have been lethal when they've been on their way.
Tony, I remember we talked to Bob Motzko last year about what impressed him about Snuggerud, and he said he could shoot from any position. Like, the puck can be in his skates, and he can fire it off with speed, with velocity. It can be well behind him, and he can get it off. It's just, wherever the puck is, it's going to come off his stick.
Figure, there's still some time left, but as this continues to look more and more like it's going to be an Irish win, it's important. We talked to Jeff Jackson coming into the weekend, Steve. It's looking more and more like Notre Dame will kind of slot in somewhere between 3 and 5 in the conference standings. Important to get a top 4 position in the Big Ten, because that means you can host on the opening weekend. Right. As Huglin has it towards the paint and swept out. But you really want, especially if you're in a position like Notre Dame where it looks more and more like you might have to win that tournament to get in. If you can host to give yourself a chance to get to the Final Four, and then it is single elimination as the puck rolls all the way through the crease. Somehow, Bischel takes a spill and it doesn't go home.
I can't believe it didn't go off somebody's skates, especially Ryan Bischel. And it just slid right through Carter Slaggert. He was kind of in an awkward situation. I think he was thinking of punching it out. Didn't touch it. Nice save there by Bischel.
Wow, had to fight one off from Clark. Suddenly this game opening up a little bit with 10 minutes left as this puck is iced by Notre Dame.
Well, the Irish have dodged a couple of bullets. Remember way back in period number 1? A shot went off of a Fighting Irish player. Oh, and that's why Carter Slaggert was a little worried about that puck because it came off his stick. It didn't hit anybody's skate, though. And the subsequent icing call, the Irish have a draw off to their right.
Irish still have their 4th line out there. So Bob Motzko brings the Snuggerud line out. Try to go to work here. Moore into the corner. There's Moore, Pitlick, and Snuggerud. Try to take advantage here. They take the puck away. Snuggerud through traffic. Gonna get the shot. But Moore recovers. Here he comes back for Snuggerud, and Davis gets in the lane. The net was open, and Davis saves the day.
Yeah, Davis had turned it over originally, but he bailed his team out there.
Kester shoots. Bischel can't make the save. Puck's in the air, and still this 4th line can't get off. Pitlick across for Kester. He wants it back. Shoots, and again it ricochets towards the corner. Moynihan's managed to get on the ice. Bjork had it in the line, couldn't get it out. Across it goes for Moore, holds and shoots just wide. Now Bjork at the end of a lengthy shift, getting towards center. He does enough to clear it.
Dodged a couple of bullets there. The Irish had a couple of opportunities to get that out. I mentioned Davis turned it over, but boy, he bailed his team out big time with that shot deflection right at the last second.
Again, Bjork's just playing in his 2nd game of the season tonight. At the end of a long shift. Probably hasn't seen a lot of shifts like that throughout the year. He was out of gas, but did enough to clear it, and now the Gophers send it too long, and this will be an icing call that brings it back into the Minnesota zone.
Well, you talked about conditioning, and yeah, Brady Bjork obviously been skating hard in practice, hoping to get in there. There's nothing like playing in a game, though, and there's no replicating a game situation. And, you know, talking with Jeff Jackson this year about Brady, he kind of mentioned it earlier. He said he never complains. He's not always in the lineup, but he's behind the scenes of the culture that we're building, and that's high praise for Brady Bjork.
Even more impressive for Notre Dame when you think about it. We've mentioned it earlier. No Trevor Janicki tonight. Ruled out after a upper body injury sustained during the week. No Grant Silanoff for the 3rd straight weekend, so that's 2 regular forwards. That means Bjork's into the lineup. They've had Ryan Helliwell out there in place of Henry Nelson, so some guys on the ice that haven't seen as much time this year. And they're beating maybe the hottest team in college hockey by 4 goals late in the 3rd.
I think the Irish realize they're capable of really good hockey. They just have to do it for 60 minutes. And they've done it for 53 minutes here so far. A real good job of playing smart in their own zone, you know, clean breakouts, being patient with the puck, and maybe more importantly than anything is just being confident with the puck, making hockey plays out there.
Minnesota's trailed more tonight than they have in the last 11 games coming in as Pitlick, beg your pardon, that's actually Lamb on the doorstep trying for a rebound. Bischel makes the save, and it stops play. 7 minutes and 3 seconds left, and the Irish look to be on their way to a Game 1 win. Scoreboard watching season in South Bend. Around the midway point of the month of February, this is when you start to look at the conference standings. Look at the bottom there. Ohio State beats Wisconsin tonight in overtime. So Wisconsin and Michigan State really jockeying for first. That's so important. You get a bye. You saw there too, Notre Dame and Minnesota. This one not final yet. That'll update at the end of the night. And I really think, Steve, and didn't help Notre Dame last year. They got to host against Michigan State and lost to Michigan State in 3 games after winning the opener, dropped 2 in a row. But Notre Dame played Minnesota, I think it was in 2019. They played the opening series here, or actually, no, sorry, semifinal game in the Big Ten tournament. They were both around the 20s or so in the pairwise. So it was a true win and you're in, or win and you keep going, losing you're out game. I know Minnesota fans still are not happy about a penalty call in overtime that led to a Michael Graham goal, but that allowed Notre Dame to win, go on to then win the Big Ten tournament and get into the NCAA tournament. If you just can get home ice, gives you a chance to win a 3-gamer, and then you're down to a semifinal final operation, anything can happen. We've seen how close the margin is in the Big Ten this year.
Well, exactly. And anyone capable of beating anyone. We saw it tonight with Ohio State over Wisconsin. For some reason, and it's funny, we talked to Jeff Jackson this week, Tony, he thinks they're going to be playing Michigan in the Big Ten tournament, and that's the way it might shake out. And they have beaten Michigan this year, so. And
they play Michigan next week, to your point, so that could really be for home ice.
Right.
And for Notre Dame, they're 12-7 at home this year. It looks like it's going to be 13-7. They only have 2 road wins on the season. So home ice is so important for them in that opening weekend. Now, with the win tonight, Steve, they're going to jump to within 5 of Minnesota, and they have the same amount of games left. So if they were to win tomorrow night, they'd be within 2 of the Gophers. There's still a world in which they could manage to get to 3rd in the conference at the end of the season. For what it's worth, also, Minnesota has Michigan left on their schedule. So there's a lot to sort out, but there's a world in which Notre Dame's the 3 seed when it's all said and done.
Right. Still plenty of hockey to play, but that's, you know, in a perfect world, that's what you want to see.
We saw tonight again, Ohio State beats Wisconsin, so anything can happen. Especially this time of year. 5:15 to go. The Irish have looked about as good as they have all year. Beat Michigan by a wide margin earlier this year at home, 6-1. Played really well in the first game of the BU series before the Terriers really turned it on in game 2. So as you pointed out all night, they've had this in them. It'll be really interesting to watch if they can back it up with a senior night game 2 tomorrow. You know they're going to get Minnesota's best shot in the second game before they have a week off, as Janicki blocks a shot, and now he's on the move. Justin Janicki shoots, and Airy makes the save, and arm is up for a penalty.
Just waiting for a penalty shot possibly, but no, it's not. That was Renzel, who we highlighted in the open. Haven't really noticed much of big number 5 in this game, except for that play, the penalty. Oh, it is a penalty shot. I take that back.
Penalty, number, roughing.
Oh, no, it's not.
Okay, you got me on the edge of my seat.
I just, the way everyone was lining up, it looked like Minnesota was going to be standing by the bench, but they've got the guys on. He's got to lead. You've got to have a full stride on the player. He gets, I believe, hooking, holding is the call. And Janicki can't quite finish.
One-timer from Moynihan missed the net. I'll say, Airy made the save there. He's got 9 saves, only allowed 1 goal. I think he's looked pretty sharp in relief for a guy that only played 60 minutes on the year coming in. Seedham's shot is blocked. He prevents it from being cleared out of the offensive zone. There's Hughlin shorthanded. Drop it back for Chesley. Here's Knuble, has 2 goals tonight and a hat trick already this season. Knuble shoots for a tip, rebound Slager, wouldn't go, puck still loose. Airy sprawling out makes the stop and is able to freeze it.
Back in the second period, it was a Danny Nelson shot that was deflected by Knuble for his second goal. This time Knuble with a shot pass. Watch big number 11 parked out 20 feet in front of the net. Right there, the redirection. That's always a good play on a power play. That high tip and a nice save. Nice couple of saves there by Airy with that left pad. Oh, and then Slager tried to go between the legs. Wouldn't that have been a goal?
Slager already has one tonight, got to 18, so we can keep an eye, see if he can get to 20. Figure if they're going to have a run in them down the stretch, they have to have him get to 20 now. Hard to imagine Notre Dame going on a run without him getting more than one goal the rest of the year.
Did you just say he was the last to score 20?
It was Anders Bjork back in 2017, yeah. He and, I believe it was Andrew Ogilvy that year. This is the year they went to the Frozen Four in 2017. As Bavaro shoots and scores! It's the 6th of the night and an exclamation point for Notre Dame.
Well, we talked about Bavaro in the open and how he gets shots through. Watch the fake. He walks the line. He looks for that opening. And not only finds the opening, he finds a spot just inside that left post. Now, that changed direction. Everyone's looking back towards Bavaro. Might have gone off a white stick. It's Bavaro's goal, and that makes it 6-1 Notre Dame.
Well, Minnesota this year has given up 6 goals on 2 occasions. A loss to Colorado College and a loss back in early December to Penn State. Otherwise, on the year, they're holding opponents to just a little bit less than 2.5 goals per game. And they'd only allowed 3 goals in their last 5 combined. So this is not the Gopher team we've seen over the last month and a half. Going to be a real interesting turnaround tomorrow to see how they respond.
You know, we've seen their bench a couple of times, and we've seen some, you know, hanging heads. And, you know, obviously these guys are tired. It's been a long year. Bob Motzko even talked about it, that they need a rest.
25 Notre Dame, 11 Minnesota, both 2-minute minor cross-check.
We got coincidental minors to both Notre Dame and Minnesota, but Motzko just talked about, you know, not looking forward to the break because they get the bye next weekend. He said, you never want to take your eye off the prize, but he said our guys need a rest, mentally maybe more than anything else. And right from the get-go, that first goal obviously was real important. That Carter Slager goal, the Nelson play, about halfway through that first period. And since that time, you know, they just looked like a tired team.
It's 4-on-4 right now as Oliver Moore and Carter Slager took offsetting roughings. So they'll open up the ice here for the final couple minutes. I suppose that the last thing left is to see if Notre Dame could maybe hang the most goals on Minnesota this year. They're giving up more than 6.
Well, I'm always of the mind you want to save them for the next day. So, you know.
So you're saying they've wasted a few already tonight,
well,
maybe?
It may be. We'll see what tomorrow plays out. But you know, what comes easy one night doesn't come so easy the next.
Gophers had a stretch in November where they lost 3 in a row. One of those was against North Dakota, then a couple against Wisconsin. Since then, they haven't lost consecutive games. Again, they were 9-1-1 in their last 11 coming in. They started the year 4-3 and lost 4 games since as Janicki fires one off the outside of the post. This is just going to be their 8th loss of the season. As Hughlin carries into the offensive end. Axel Begley gets a late shift here for the Gophers.
There is 1 minute remaining in the game. 1 minute.
Danny Nelson takes it about 150 feet before stopping up and dropping it for Ryan Helliwell. He too gets a late period shift. Now it's Begley on the move. He's going to shoot, and it goes up high and out of play.
Good stick there by Ryan Helliwell. who, as you mentioned, hasn't been in all the games this year, but comes in and gets himself a big shift towards the end of this hockey game. There's Ryan Heller. Well, it's okay. You're not getting a rest. You're staying on the ice.
Yeah, just his 7th game of the year. Played a lot more his first 2 years. This is game 76 for his career, so he just hasn't found his way into the lineup. And again, this is a lineup with really 3 regulars that weren't in it tonight. Notre Dame looked about as good as they have all season. Final half minute as Pitlick whacks at one. Bischel makes the first save, stops the second one. This is certainly going to be one of Ryan Bischel's best performances against the Gophers. You mentioned his numbers, certainly not bad in his career against Minnesota, but just not to the standard that he's set throughout his career. It'll be nice for him to get one under his belt tonight.
Yeah, and I think in this game, he's got to be really proud of his defensemen, even the forwards too. He's had a lot of help in front of the net. And yeah, he's made some good saves, but except for that turnover there, they've played a really sound defensive hockey game.
This puck's out through center. 5 seconds left. That's going to do it. Notre Dame takes game 1 against the Gophers, and they'll go for the sweep on senior night tomorrow. Jeff Jackson wins the 1,000th game that he's coached.
There you see the updated standings. Notre Dame just 5 points behind Minnesota now with that 3-point victory. Michigan State behind them, so obviously tomorrow an important game, but this was an important one for the Fighting Irish, maybe their best game of the year.
It adds plenty of intrigue to the home finale tomorrow for Notre Dame. With the regulation win, they could find themselves just 2 behind the Gophers. That's going to do it for us. For my broadcast partner, Steve Conroy, producer Derek Coleman, and the rest of the outstanding crew in South Bend, Tony Simeone saying so long. We'll see you tomorrow night for the season finale on Peacock.